Welcome to Studio 5. Dr. Ian Smith has a formula to burn fat. We have your first look at a film based on a true story of music, love, and redemption, and a nun investigating a crime only to find a startling surprise. It's a new film. But before we get to those stories, let's get started with our weekly countdown of the top 5 stories in the world of uplifting entertainment. Here are the first 2. At number 5.
I am who I am today. Because God used my mistakes.
Fantasia fans can get ready to hear more gospel music from the R&B star. She's got 2 albums coming in the months ahead, and one is a gospel project.
God told us to tell you. God told us to tell you. Everything that you're going through, guess what? It's necessary. It was necessary.
At number 4.
When the best of me is barely breathing.
New music and a magazine cover story from Lauren Daigle. The self-titled project is the 4th studio album from the contemporary Christian music artist, and a bit of a first. It's Daigle's first mainstream pop album.
People out there, let go of your cares.
That begins our countdown and brings us to this week's Sit Down with Dr. Ian Smith. The physician, television host, and author has a new book and a plan to improve your health. The MetFlex diet reveals a strategic way to burn fat effectively, and it's not about just burning calories. Who is this book for, the MetFlex diet? Who is it for?
The MetFlex diet is for everyone. It is a program that says to people that your metabolism is likely stuck, which means that it's not able to burn both fuel sources. 2 major fuel sources are carbs and fats. And unfortunately, some of us can only burn one or the other. And so the MetFlex diet is a 6-week program that says you are going to retrain your body to be able to burn whatever fuel source you see. So if you sit down to a meal that has lots of fat, you can burn it. If you sit down to a meal like pasta or pizza with lots of carbs, you can burn it. And that's why the program is for everyone. It kind of retrains your body. It unsticks your metabolism.
Okay, so it's a 6-week process that we're going through with this. What happens after the 6 weeks? I know people wonder.
Yes. So the idea behind almost all of my books is to give people a blueprint of how to live. I don't want you staying on a diet per se for the rest of your life. Okay. I want you to learn the principles. And then the idea is to put the book away and then go ahead and eat and live. And now, hopefully, you have changed your choices. You understand how to make better decisions, not perfect decisions, but better decisions. And therefore, you're not on a diet anymore.
So you've written many books. What would you say is different about this book?
I think this book is different because the concept is very different. The metabolic flexibility is something I had never even heard of. And the idea that you can kind of oscillate between carb-heavy days and fat-heavy days. I've never been a big proponent of eating fat because I'm actually not a proponent of long-term keto. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's a healthy way or a sustainable way to eat. But short-term keto, which is what this is, cyclical keto, in and out of it, I think is very different. I think this is what makes this book very different from the others that I've written.
How do we get to this point of our metabolism being stuck, if you will? What happens?
Yeah, that's a great question, by the way. We're not sure why people end up having a stuck metabolism. We think that people tend to not have a varied diet, which means you're only seeing certain types of macronutrients. So you kind of, you get accustomed to what you're seeing. Some people are saying, I'm not gonna eat carbs. That's the worst thing to do because your body, for lack of a better term, becomes out of practice in being able to burn carbs. So when you do see carbs, your body does not respond in the way that you want it to or it should. And so this program says, we are going to reintroduce you to carbs and fats in a way that allows you to learn how to burn them very efficiently and to help you lose weight at the same time.
What does the food look like for this plan? Because whenever we see diet, people think, okay, punishment. What does the food choice look like?
You can have pizza, you can have burgers, you can have pasta, you can have steak, you can have regular pancakes. You can have regular food. It's not always what you eat, it's how you eat it. And so the way the program is built is you're going to have keto days and you're going to have carb loading days. So you oscillate between eating keto type of meals and then eating carb friendly meals. And so you're gonna eat regular food that you see and that you probably already enjoy, but you're not gonna have pasta every day. You're not gonna have steak every day. It's certain days you're gonna have these types of foods.
Now imagine before publishing this, naturally you've tested it, tried it, had people try it. What have you seen?
So I took 1,000 people before it published. The average weight loss was up to 20 pounds in 6 weeks, which is a tremendous number. But beyond the weight loss, people also experienced lowering their blood pressure, lowering their blood sugar levels, their cholesterol levels. So there were a lot of we call them NSVs, non-scale victories. And people also had improved energy.
What started you on this journey when it comes to dieting and health? I think I've talked to you about fasting and intermittent fasting. What started this for you?
I got here by accident, as you know, sometimes you don't know God's plan until it actually happens, right? And so here I was, a columnist for Time magazine in New York City, and I was writing this column in what we call in the back of the book, back of the magazine, and I was writing about different health issues. And no matter what I wrote about, people would send me emails about weight loss. So what happened was, finally I said, well, there's something here. People are really confused and, you know, pun intended, they're hungry for real information about losing weight and improving their metabolism. And so I felt like in order for me to do a service to my readers, I need to find these answers. And that kind of took me in the path of understanding nutrition and weight loss, things that doctors, by the way, were never trained in. But I just felt like it was my mission to figure this out and to give this information to my readers.
Dr. Ian's book is available right now. You can grab a copy wherever books are sold.
Still to come.
Hey, brother.
Joe?
I got something to tell you. Dad got a call yesterday from a guy at a record company. He says he heard our record and,
Our record? What do you mean?
Dreamin' Wild.
A 30-year-old record gets major recognition and now a major motion picture. We're going behind the lens of Dreamin' Wild. At number 3.
You knew her quite well, didn't you?
Mother? Yes.
Most people, when in total doubt, just give up on their dreams. But she didn't.
I need to take dying people off the streets. You have to give me a place for them. Now.
It's a Studio 5 first look at Mother Teresa and Me, a film shown this week at the United Nations during International Day of Charity and released in theaters across the United States October 5th.
I was so wrong with so many things.
I'm lost, Father. Why does Jesus not love me anymore?
Are you here to save humanity or just yourself?
Faith might be obscured by the clouds of doubt.
At number 2.
Something about that little girl. She's just 5 and she already needs a liver transplant. Hi, Sharon, remember me?
Yes, ma'am.
So she's gonna help out if you're not so weak.
I met this woman. She's a mess.
Perfect, she'll fit right in.
A Studio 5 first look at the newest film from the Irwin brothers before its October 13th release.
You guys are responsible for I Can Only Imagine, Jesus Revolution, and now we have Ordinary Angels. Where is this scoring in relation and comparison?
Sometimes the people that do the greatest work are the most unlikely heroes. Sharon, who Hillary portrays so well, was that unlikely hero.
I wish there were more movies like this.
This is a true life story, as our films tend to be, true life stories, about how this community, how this church rallied together in the midst of an extraordinary circumstance, which is like a 100-year blizzard in Louisville, Kentucky, to rally together to save the life of this little girl who was in desperate need of a organ transplant. And so when the story came to us, we're like, you know what? This is showcasing the power of the gospel in action.
I'm not comfortable with this. I'm her father. I'm supposed to be the one taking care of her.
You're gonna have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because this ain't about you, it's about your little girl.
With that, we've got just one more story to share in this week's countdown that's coming up in just a few moments. Right now, we take a look at Dreamin Wild. It follows the life of brothers Donnie and Joe Emerson. Both worked hard on an album back in the 70s, but it didn't get much attention until 3 decades later. Donnie Emerson and his wife are in Studio 5 this week with a first-hand glimpse into the film behind the music.
Bye, Dad.
Hi, buddy.
Love you, Dad.
Hey, Nance, where's the band?
They bailed. Sorry.
Seriously? Trying to run a business here.
Also, the bank called.
Hey, brother.
Joe?
I got something to tell you. Dad had a call yesterday from a guy at a record company. He says he heard our record and,
Our record? What do you mean?
Dreamin Wild.
So we have an album that sits on the shelf for decades. What happens when you are hearing and your dad hearing that there's interest in doing something with it?
Oh, gosh darn it. See, there was things that were prior that happened before that.
I need to talk to you about this.
There it is. It's Dreamin Wild.
That's you guys?
Yeah, that's us.
This album is unbelievable.
Our daughter was 11. We were in the living room for real. Donnie and I and our son dancing. Our son was about 9. We love to dance in the living room. We're always dancing. She's in the dining room looking at the computer on YouTube. She says, "Daddy, there's a video of you and Uncle Joe on your song Baby." We're like, what? What? We run over the dining room, then we see it, we're like 14,000 and something hits.
Yeah, 14,000.
And I got goosebumps right now. Someone had posted it.
Yeah,
so there was a hype going on from that moment, 2011 with that, and then Light the Attic contacted him right after that, 2011.
Donnie's a genius, truthfully.
And then what happened?
We're gonna need some more money to get these last few songs finished.
My dad lost a lot.
I have to ask just about the faith of your dad to literally bet the farm on his 2 sons. Where do you think that came from for him?
My dad is not a typical, he's not like very many people. My dad doesn't look at obstacles.
During its finest moments, to twist a Brian Wilson phrase, Dreamin Wild is a godlike symphony to teenhood.
Brian Wilson?
Yeah.
They're very strong in Jesus and love and God.
Forgiveness.
So you can see it in his mom and dad. They're really unique. They're very unique.
Not like you're
and
not
they
the same.
They go through everything knowing. They know how hard it's going to be. But they have this childlike innocence.
Yes.
Because of their faith. They never do anything on their own. You see it every second, these two breathe.
New York Times want to do a story on you guys.
Are you kidding me?
And now he wants it to be the kickoff for a tour. It's so weird to have this now. I'm not sure what to do with all of it.
What do you say to the timing of it all, to the record sitting on the shelves for as long as it did, for as long as it's taken to make a movie? What do you think about just the timing of it all?
I believe in destiny. I'm not trying to just talk off the top of my head, but I take 26:11, Jeremiah 26:11, seriously. That's me. I believe we're destined. God knows us before we were born. I just know that this is meant for us. This was supposed to happen.
My last question for both of you, what's your prayer for the film as people get to see it now?
Well, I gotta tell you, I take my time, I do my walks by myself. That's the time that I spend my time with God. I say, Lord, tell me what I gotta do to help other people with this. Then I'll be an example. And that to appreciate the moments God gives you, every moment. Work through me. You know, I want people to know that the Holy Spirit is a part of this. I really believe that. Because we're not perfect, but through Jesus' sacrifice, we are. And so I just want people to know that it came to us, and anything's possible for anybody else.
I'm just sorry, Dad, for putting you through all of it.
You're my son. I would have gladly given up all the land just to hear you play.
Dreamin Wild is in theaters right now. Check your local listings to find a theater near you. We need to take a quick break, but before we do, it's time to share this week's story in pictures. Here's your Studio 5 Snapshot.
We take you to Oakland, California, and a look at the NBA's Steph Curry and his wife Aisha's foundation, Eat, Learn, Play, recently hosted a charity event at Stanford Golf Course. In Oakland over the past 4 years, the Currys have been refurbishing playgrounds and offering positive coaching, healthy meals, and reading materials for children in need. These images are a quick look at just some of the work and this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
Welcome back to Studio 5. We had the opportunity to speak with the director of a film, The Nun 2. It's a horror and thriller for adult audiences only, but we wanted to know, where is the light in all this darkness?
There's something wrong with the school. Something doesn't feel right.
Sophie, what happened?
I think there's something here that's not meant to be.
When did you know there was audience need, demand for a sequel?
It was Bonnie Aarons herself. It was the nun, Valak. I mean, that she's such a scary and iconic monster.
I saw a nun.
Both myself and the studio were really excited to just jump right back in.
This demon was once an angel, stripped of power.
It wants that power back.
If you had to point to where is the light in the film?
It's in the characters. I think it is in both Irene, played by Thaisa, and Maurice, played by Jonas, who's Frenchie in the first film, but his real name's Maurice. We discover that at the end. I think that they had this just incredible friendship and chemistry, and it was, I thought I was like, that's a great thread there, and that relationship about, you know, this friendship, and that maybe could have been something else that was like, you know, they were kind of pulled apart in different directions, and then how this terrible thing could bring them back together, and what does that look like? What does it look like when you're being reunited? It's the friendship they have.
Nun 2 is in theaters everywhere. Again, it is a film for adult audiences. We need to take a quick break. Before we do, we have made it to the final story in this week's countdown of the 5 best stories in uplifting entertainment. Here is your #1 story.
At number 1.
All right, everybody look right here. I'm raising you to be men. You're gonna have a lot of disappointments in life. You just gotta keep moving forward.
We have a motto here, and that's God, family, football.
A Studio 5 first look at the new docuseries with NFL star Russell Wilson in the executive producer's seat.
After Evangel's worst season in history, famed head coach Denny Duran returns. Everybody is wondering, can he win a state title?
What's so special about Evangel?
Well, the thing that's special about Evangel is that it was established, first of all, as a school for all children. In the 70s, schools were integrated in Shreveport, Louisiana, and throughout the state. Immediately, there were a lot of private schools that sprung up, but they were all what we call white flight schools. And that's not at all what we are. In fact, we're just the opposite, because God gave us a vision to have a school for all children.
The series streams now and follows the pastor, coach, and former NFL player who comes out of retirement to guide the high school team he helped to create.
This year, we're ready to win it all.
We're going to shock the world.
The Eagles not looking good so far in this game.
Everybody's figured out the game plan. He's going to just throw at this brother all day.
That can't work every single time.
Thanks for staying around. Welcome back to Studio 5. Music helps us to bring you this show every week, and this week's soundtrack comes courtesy of Kirk Franklin. It's a little something new. Take a listen, and you're going to hear why Try Love is what's playing in my ear this week.
I've been waiting my whole life. I'm not gonna let you go this time. See, love isn't love until you give it away. Find somebody and love somebody. If I didn't get it right yesterday, you've given me a chance easy. That's not the way it has to end. Yeah. See, I learned love's not the enemy, but I had to look deep down within. For God so loved the world. Now, let's let real love begin.
On that musical note, we are just about out of time for this week's edition of Studio 5, so this is a great time to look ahead at next week's rundown.
Do you ever want to feel this feeling again?
I'm sorry.
Then let's go to work.
It's all about God with a focus on family and a heart for football in this new docuseries.
Everything we do, whether it's athletics or academics or the arts, is in some way going to be designed to give the Lord Jesus Christ credit.
Pastor and coach Denny Duran and assistant coach Fabian Anthony Carter talk about God, family, and football, showing Studio 5 the path to winning after the odds seem stacked against them.
Hope you'll join us for that next week. In this week's show, we've got time for just one more thing. We're going to give that to Dr. Ian Smith, the final word.
I'm supposed to be in the operating room as an orthopedic, well, first a neurosurgeon, then I changed and wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. And then all of a sudden, here I am. And the lesson for this is that sometimes you don't choose your mission chooses you. That's really true. Had you asked me in medical school, this is what my career would be, I would say that you were born on another planet because you have no idea what you're talking about. But you have to be open-minded. And I'm really grateful to God that I was open-minded and accepting what was coming towards me. Sometimes we become closed-minded and we can only see in tunnel vision. We become very myopic. And I was just lucky enough, despite the fact that people teased me and thought I was crazy doing TV and not being in the operating room, I just knew that this was right for me. This was my calling.
Dr. Ian, a great word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back. See where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.